Quite fun having you in the window.
Hi everyone, welcome to Zibby's Bookshop, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. So we have Ms. Fenton, Lisa Steinke, and Rochelle Weinstein, and we're discussing What You Do to Me. So congratulations to all of you. So it's going to be about 30 minutes of conversation between all of them, followed by audience Q&A if you all have any questions, and then a book signing. So
This just makes me feel like I'm my little sleepy blanket.
We're so excited to be here with you, one of our favorite authors.
Welcome to California.
We have our phones out because we have our notes out. We're
Not because
we're not
on
texting.
Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you,
ready.
thank
I'm
you,
pleased
Liz
with
and
my
Lisa, thank you to the bookstore, and for everybody for being here. It's so great to see so many familiar faces.
I mean, it's standing room
Oh,
at this point.
Hi. Well, we love the book. I know you have a question.
Yeah, I'm going to start us out. So everyone knows the story behind Hey There, Delilah. But will you tell us what the book's about and what inspired the story of the book?
Okay, so does everybody know the story, the real story behind Hey There, Delilah? No.
I just asked her that. Okay, Liz wrote this question, and I just turned to her and said, "Does everyone know the story?" She's like, "Yes." So that makes me feel better because
I was like, duh, yeah, they do.
Okay, so
actually makes me
I'll
feel
be
better.
quick.
Okay.
So the real story behind Hey There, Delilah is that Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees, he was in a bar in Chicago, and he met Delilah, and he said he was going to write a song for her. She had a boyfriend at the time. Am I getting this right, Doug Cohen? Okay. So some people thought it was really creepy and stalkerish. I thought it was like one of the most romantic things in the world. If Steven, write me a song, honey. So the song came out, and it must not have been so stalkerish and creepy to her because she did end up going to the Grammys with him, even though she had the boyfriend. And I just decided it was a point in my writing that I really wanted to start challenging myself with my stories and go a little bit more of what we talk about, high concept. And I said I was going to reimagine the characters, a wholly different story with a different ending that we could all embrace. And that's the impetus behind the book. The title is a line in the song. Oh, I'm not going to sing, but and now you're going to be singing and humming the song for the rest of the week.
Okay. So tell us about this story.
Oh yeah, this story.
Yeah.
So in my reimagining, we're following Cecilia James. She's a Rolling Stone reporter on the hunt for the muse behind this song. And in this fictional book, the song is by a group called God, I always forget this, High Tide. And the song is called What You Do to Me. And Cecilia's in 1990 Los Angeles. And through her journey to find the muse behind, the inspiration for this song, it lands her and the reader in Miami Beach, Florida in the early 70s. And we meet Sarah and Eddie. Sarah's a young Jewish girl. Eddie is not Jewish. He's an Argentinian boy, and they come from different worlds, and it's their beautiful love story.
It's such a great love story. And then it's got like historical fiction vibes. They're going back in time. And
It's sad because the 70s are historical.
well, I was even thinking the 90s. I think the 90s are considered historical fiction. Yeah.
So old.
Okay. So in this book, you have a foreword from Tom Higginson. Am I saying the right? From Plain.
Higginson.
Yeah, from Plain White Tees, who wrote Hey There, Delilah. Since not everybody knows the story. Tell us how, because that was so awesome. Actually, I saw you did a video for you as well. I saw through Amazon. So can you walk us through how did that come about? Because that stuff is getting quotes and getting those permissions. I know there's a lot of authors in this. It's really, really difficult. It's terribly difficult. So talk to us about that.
This book was the most challenging book of my career. And you talk about stalkerish. I stalked Tom Higginson. So this is Doug Cohen. He's one of my closest friends. And I met Doug in New York City. I was working for a music channel in Miami at the time, and Doug was a client of mine at Atlantic Records. And when I told him the idea for this book, what was your relationship with Tom? Was he on your, I forget?
I worked at Nickelodeon and I had him write a song for us for the SpongeBob musical on Broadway. The song between SpongeBob and Patrick.
Right, okay. So I'm like, do you think we can get this done? Because it is virtually impossible to get. I mean, when I'm with my publishing house and I'm like, I've won like 3 words from a song, they're like, nope.
Yep.
So it's very discouraging. And I know, we, like music and books, there's just such this like collaboration that it's hard to have one without the other, at least for me when I'm writing. But anyway, I stalked Doug, I stalked Tom for over a year at least.
More.
And we were, thank you. I have to remind you that. And we were on strict deadlines, as you know, as writers, we have deadlines. And when I tell you, like every last minute deadline, we would finally hear something. And he was great. When he was attentive to us, he was amazing. And I'll never forget that Doug gave me his email and his phone number because he said it was fine. And I reached out to him and I'm walking my dogs and I get a text from Tom and he's like, hey, I'm so sorry. I've been so delayed, but let's get on a call. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, can I call you now? I'm like, yeah. And my dog is like pooping like on the floor. And I'm cleaning up dog poop. And it's like I'm on the phone with Tom. And it was an unforgettable moment. But he was amazing. And I admitted that I was a stalker. And I said,
That's the first step.
yeah, and he was amazing. He was on board. He agreed to do the forward, which I could maybe read if we have time. It's really short.
You should. Why don't you read it? Read
Okay,
it
because
now.
I don't love to do readings at readings. But I feel like the forward is so, like, I cry every time I read it, but I won't cry tonight. Okay, when I first wrote Hey There, Delilah, I had no way of knowing the impact it would have and the many fans and listeners it would touch around the world, so it's amazing to see that after all these years, it still resonates. A few years back, we toyed with the idea of basing a TV series or film around the song, thinking it would be fun to give the fans the fairy tale ending they were looking for. So when Rochelle, I love when he calls me Rochelle. So when Rochelle approached me with her idea for recreating the players and story, I loved it. One of the biggest compliments you can get as an artist is when someone tells you that the art you made has inspired them to create something beautiful. It's so, okay, so here's, forgive me, forgive our editors, forgive Tom. It's so fun for me to see this reimagining. You caught it. It's so fun for me to see this reimagining with Hey There, Delilah being the inspiration for this love story. What a crazy, incredible, and humbling feeling it is to just watch as the song continues to find new ways of getting into people's hearts. If you love the song, I think you're really going to love this book. Tom Higginson.
Aww.
No, he was amazing, and and then we had to ask him to do the videos for Amazon. So that was a whole other wait stage, bothering him and badgering him. And then when I tell you October 12th, 5 days before book release, was his deadline to get the video. And I would tell you, he texts me on October 12th and he goes, don't bother me and don't freak out. The video is coming in 10 minutes. So he knew.
So nice.
I know I miss him. I miss him. If anyone knows what I could send Tom Higginson as a thank you gift, tell me, because I'm like at a loss.
Something strawberry.
Did you listen to the song?
Oh, right.
No.
Wow.
I know. It's always on. Like I feel like every time I get in my car, I hear it. Somebody
Really?
calls me. Like I just feel like
It's
it's just
just
always
popping
been in the background. And then the chapter titles and the songs in the book, those I played a lot. Like one of my favorites was Linda Ronstadt, the different drum that was in the book. Like those songs really got my juices going. And
Do you always listen to music when you write?
no, but this book I really did. Do you guys listen to music when you write?
I do.
No, I used to all the time, and now less. And I think I want to get. We're about to start a new project, and I think I want to get make a new playlist.
So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this is the Liz and Lisa. Forever Hold Your Peace, and they are best-selling authors, and they're amazing, and we were all in the same imprint, and they're my author sisters.
Love you. Aw, thank you.
Did you have a favorite scene to write?
Me too.
That's such a tough question. And this book, no, because this book was such a joy to write from start to finish. I loved writing this book. I miss these characters. When someone asks you that question, like, what's your favorite book? And I'm like, well, that's like saying, who's your favorite child?
Yeah.
I can honestly say this book is like my heart, because it's really a collaboration of music and books, and those are my two passions.
And that actually brings me to my next question. So you have a connection to LA, and you kind of mentioned your connection to the music industry, but can you tell us a little bit more about those connections and why you're so passionate about this book and music and why that's all come together?
Well, first, I'm so grateful for so many people that are here, because that's part of my LA connection. I graduated from college in 91. Was it 91? Yes. And my sister was living out here, and I literally packed up and just came out here. And I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I came out, I moved out here, I met some amazing people. I worked for the LA Weekly, and I just landed in their advertising department, where I was dealing with music, record labels and film studios. So then I left and I went back to Miami, and I worked for a music channel on cable. I say cable, and it makes me sound like a dinosaur. It was called the Box Music Network. It's like a jukebox, like listeners call in and they pay like $2.99, and then their video comes up on the screen. So it was eventually bought by Viacom, and it became MTV2.
Oh, okay.
But that's where I met Doug. And music has always been such an inspiring, motivating part of my life, and books as well. Such an escape to be able to transport. And just to be able to have both mediums in this story was just like writing my dream novel.
And you can tell when you're reading it too. I mean, I think when you write about something that you know really well, like you can really feel it.
You have to be passionate about what you're writing about. Like right now I'm writing a book and I'm not feeling very passionate. And I'm like,
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Especially after you write the book that you just loved so much. It's like, how could I like hold a candle to this? Like, but it'll come together. The first word's draft.
Don't you think writing, like, and at least for us, like writing, every book has its own a different relationship with each book, and some you have this relationship, like like something that you romanticize, and then it's like some books are like a bad boyfriend, or you need to leave, you don't leave soon enough, that you look back on it, it's not that great. So this was a really great experience. What are I know you don't want me to ask what your favorite book is, and I'm kind of leading to that, but can you give some like advice to someone who maybe is feeling like they're stuck in a book that they're having trouble with? Like, what's some writing advice? We have a lot of writers, and
You're talking about from a writer's perspective?
Yes.
Listen,
I was there for it. I followed you.
every writer is different. Like Allison Wynn Scotch is here. She's one of my favorite authors. Rachel Collarcroft is here. She's one of my favorite authors. Monzi Shaw, and who else?
Suzanne Parks here.
Suzanne Parks is here. And I know that we all write for different reasons. And for me, my writing is very cathartic for me. It's almost like my years of journal writing that I take a lot of those emotions and I fictionalize them. So my advice to someone who's writing is know why you're writing, what you're writing, and you just have to. I don't believe in writing. Writing for market. It's such a hot topic, but I feel like when you write something that's close to your heart, that means something to you and matters to you, it really comes across on the page. A lot of authors talk about, well, I need to write, a certain genre right now because it's a hot topic. But if that's not where your soul is or your heart,
Right.
it's not going to come out as really authentic. If you're really a gifted author, maybe, just not me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your process? Do you outline? Do you kind of fly by this?
I've never heard this question before.
I know, right? But people love this question. That's why we're asking.
Pantsers or plotters? So it's, do you fly by the seat of your pants or do you plot? So I've always been a fly by the seat of my pants. I tried plotting for, I forgot, this is my 7th book, so pardon me, and I'm old because I don't remember. I tried plotting with one of the books. My characters took me in every direction that they wanted to go. The book I'm writing now, I had a really extensive outline, so I would say that it was more plotting. But I just feel like your characters, they just take you. You could get into character and your character's suddenly going to take you in a direction that you were not expecting.
Is that maybe why you're not feeling it? Because
I
you
was
have
thinking
it
that
too mapped
Maybe,
out?
maybe. I don't know. I think it's also that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering in the other way that maybe she's having to map it out because she's not feeling it.
Oh
I
my
don't
God,
know.
this is like therapy.
I know.
I mean, you thought that we were.
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to
You know what it
think.
is also? I know my beginnings and I know my endings. I cannot stand those saggy middles, like those
No one
in
can.
books, right? Do you agree? Like
Yeah,
the
readers can't,
like-
writers can't.
beginning and the endings, like I know
My mom
those.
just
and I
all write
know
short
those.
stories.
But it's those middles, keeping the reader really invested. So many pages.
Lisa's really good at the middle, I will say. Like, I think I am stronger like beginning and ending, but I kind of sometimes throw my hands up in the middle. And then you always come in, you're like,
I think it's just such a challenge that you have to like, what's gonna keep this thing moving? And so maybe I like the challenge of it.
And then you guys read the book once. We've read it 9,000,007 times.
Yeah.
And we're like, we'll talk to each other and we'll be like, oh my God, this is such garbage. Like familiarity
Right.
breeds contempt. Like I can't look at this thing. I like could vomit when I read
Yeah.
it.
Yep. That.
this is therapy. The book talk will be in a half hour.
Continue here.
So we met before and we're having some drinks and we were talking about books. What are you reading right now? Or if you don't want to talk about what you're reading right now, what's a book that you have loved this year?
Oh, I love so many books, but you can go
You
look at
can say more than one.
You can go look at my Goodreads because I'm not just saying this, Kyle Owens, but I am reading right now Zibby's new book.
Nice.
I'm reading Blank. I'm listening to Matthew Perry, and they all made fun of me because I'm like, that narrator's terrible. I said
We're
this
like,
at the
it's
table.
him.
It didn't sound like him. I'm admitting this. How self-deprecating am I in this moment? But it didn't sound like him to me.
You still didn't believe us when we
I
told
still
you.
don't think it's
I still think you believe us.
I don't think it's him.
It's
So I'm listening to that. I multitask. I listen. I read. I can read, and I could be reading 6 books at once. I'm also reading Annabelle Monaghan's. She's Nora goes off script. She's amazing. Her new book, Summer Romance. I'm reading her book. And who else am I reading at the moment? That's a lot for right now. They told me at dinner to read The Change, and it has nothing to do with being old, right?
Yeah, by Kirsten miller. It's about these. Have any of you read it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about these women going through menopause that get like superhuman powers, and like one woman when she has hot flashes can like melt things. And it's we were talking about dinner just with everything. The world's kind of on fire, and I've been DNFing book. I just had a hard time, and I read that book in like 2 days. It's an amazing book.
Yes. I have it on my list. And also my friend Amy told me, her daughter told me the book about rest and relaxation. What's that book? You don't remember?
I know, I heard her say
Okay.
it.
She was, yes. Her daughter, how old is,
26.
she told me that I have to read that book. Did you like it?
It's savage.
That's what she said, it was,
Okay.
I love
she
that
used
book.
some crazy words, but that
But I
was
like the book that,
It's fantastic.
is it like a little life, like?
No, it's a little more, I would say, like dark and
Rest and
yeah.
The
My
book
year
is
of rest and
the
relaxation.
year.
Okay.
By Otis Demography.
Got it.
So the her shorter story Eileen is coming out as a movie. So
Oh.
it's very, very dark. Yes.
Okay.
All of it's very dark.
I'm there for it. I'm 100% there for it. You had talked a little bit just about what you're working on and how it's kind of not working. Is there anything coming up the pipe that you can share that we
Oh,
can
yeah,
look
well-
for from you?
Well, the book that I'm like meh about right now is under contract, so that book is happening. That one's coming out in February of 2025, and it's The Inn, and it's been pitched as 9 Perfect Strangers. meets what's it called?
It's your
Big
big
Chill.
more. Oh, the
Big Chill.
big chill. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's inspired by this unbelievable inn in North Carolina that we've been to and we love, and they have this amazing chef's table where they it's like 10 chairs, 8 chairs, and they cook for you at the table and they give you recipe cards. And I made it into a bed and breakfast that's a week-long experience with these eight characters, and it's 4 point of views. I think that's also why I miss it really
That
hard.
might be a little
That's
bit
what it
of
is.
it.
It's 4
That
point
sounds
of views.
amazing,
I'm
though.
driving myself crazy in all these different heads, but we've got the menu, and it's the books divided into 7 days of the week,
Look about it.
and the menu for each night, and
Is the narrative in first or third person?
it's in third. I did first person for where we fall, and I'll never forget. And I don't read reviews, but I remember this particular review because I'm sure Stephen told me about it. That all my characters sounded the same, so I worry about that first person and making them nuanced and individual. So I was like, I'll just do third person and make it easier.
So have you done third person ever since after that review?
Well, this is different point of views, but most of my books are first person.
Oh, because
And
it's just one.
character.
That's right.
But this book is 4 different point of views in third person.
It's a lot to bite off.
Okay, you want to do it?
No.
We almost broke up over a
Yeah, we
3 narrative,
Maybe I can
3
timeline
timeline
book.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you want someone to fight with.
That's in the therapy.
Anyway, you should. Well, yeah, you can have them come in and write the middle. Right? That's why I keep her around.
Thanks. Wait, so now when I read your books, I know who's written the beginning and the end and who's written the middle.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I'll say yes.
I'll keep it very
All right.
simple.
Well, let's
Yeah.
open it up for questions. What questions do you guys have for Rochelle?
Come on, somebody. Just throw something out there. You're
got one
the
over here.
podcaster.
We've got one.
Oh no, this is the big gun. Okay.
I just wanted to know what was it about Miami Beach that you decided to set for the story there? Was it Coconut Grove music scene back in the day, or?
So I was born and raised in Miami.
Okay.
So
NMB, loud and proud.
that's right. So and the box was on Miami Beach, and to be perfectly honest here, Champlain Towers had just gone down, and my sons lost a very close friend, and I wanted to pay homage to that area, that stretch of beach. And it started out as like a different story, but his name is on like the very last page when you get to that. So, but Miami Beach is my home. I moved out. I was in LA, and then I went back, and my husband and I were both born and raised there, and it's just all the nostalgia that's thread through the story and the music is just my memory. Is that a good enough answer?
Yeah, that's a really good answer.
I haven't read it yet, but I feel like we've had a lot of books that have combined kind of romance and love and music over this last couple of years. I feel like I've read a lot. And so what is it about those two things that made you want to jump in and combine that in?
I mean, they're my two passions. I've always been a secret closeted writer, and I've always loved music. And I was raised by a single mom in Miami, and music used to just, I always say music and books raised me. Music and books were my surrogate parents when my mom was at work. And it's just music. I think I've said this already. It's so transportative, and it elicits so many emotions, and you feel things, and you're brought back in time. Like I first of all, being back in Los Angeles again for me after having lived here, I mean, it's been so nostalgic, and I hear a song or I think of a song that was playing when I was, and it just takes you right back. It's so powerful. So how could your story not be powerful with those elements?
Any other questions?
Yes. I actually know
Mine
this,
now,
but
Al.
other people may not. I love your cover, and I know we had a lot of back and forth about it, and I'm wondering if you could give people some insight into how a cover comes about, because I actually I know that you were nervous about it. I actually think it's great.
Love
So, obviously, every author has different experiences depending on what publishing house you're at, but what is the general way that a cover comes to be?
Well, you have to remember that like your book when it's on websites and whatnot, it's a postage stamp. So you really need to stand out. So that's number one. Number two, with my publishing house, they're very collaborative. I'll send, like pictures of other authors' covers, and I'll be like, I love this, and this captures the feel and whatnot. And then you get down to the fun part where they send you like concepts. And oh my God, this book, of all my books, we went through probably 20 iterations.
Oh,
I remember I was sending you
wow.
covers and I wish I
What's
could
a swear word?
I wish I could show you one of the covers that I fell in love with. That was just words and very retro, and there was no pictures of anything. It was just the words. It was like yellow and green
I love
and
covers,
orange.
yeah.
It was just like so retro, and I fell in love with it. And then basically like in the 11th hour, they're like, well, we're gonna go in another direction.
Really?
And it was this, but it was like 100 times worse than this. I was like, okay. I was like, it's a good start. And wait, I remember showing you a cover, and you were like, do people even know what a cassette tape is anymore?
I just had to ask.
Oh, right. That original cover had the cassette tapes. I'm wrong. But anyway, it's surprisingly a lot of people know what the cassette tapes
You said
were.
your kids knew.
But I do know that the publisher was like, there was the element of the romances and the color and in the trees, and then, the nostalgia. And, I think they brought all the elements together pretty
It's a
nicely.
great cover.
Yeah.
Although I want you to show me
Yeah, I
later
need to see
the one with the words that you
By the
like.
way, I
Yeah.
was so wrong. It had cassette tapes. It did, but it was just very bold.
You're gonna have
and
to
very
text me
retro.
that later.
I'm gonna send
I
it
want to
to
see it.
I need to see
And also, I don't know, do you feel this way? Like sometimes like if you go through like the cover or if you don't like the title, I feel like these things sometimes just grow on you like organically. Like sometimes you just like you accept defeat and you're just like, and then you own it. Like it
Right.
suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, we've had, I think, one experience where we went through about 20 covers, and you end up just taking the best you can get, but then you end up kind of falling in love with it because and I think you're looking at it so much, you're like, man, it's fine. It's okay, it's actually good, and you kind of like, move till you get there. Plus, it's your cover.
But
So you have to.
we were talking
yeah.
about this also tonight. Sometimes I just feel we have to defer to the experts, and I'm like, I'm no expert on cover design. Like, what do I know?
Right.
I'm like very creatively challenged that way, artistically.
But I will say sometimes and I think all the authors here can relate, when the first, you're kind of holding your breath, like you'll get an email and it'll be like, first look at covers, and you're kind of holding your breath and you open it up and it looks like something like your 13-year-old did on Canva, and you're like,
It's
so.
so true. And then you show everybody and you get everybody's opinions, and then you get completely swayed by the negativity.
Yeah. Yeah, but you ended up with a good one. I think all your covers have been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like your covers.
No, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, this one actually started off in a pretty bad place. And
we had one, and then they're like, wait, that looks exactly like someone else's book.
well, I actually went and made one on Canva and sent it to them, and like, can we get something that looks more like this? Like, but it was actually on Canva, but
I still like your cover.
it was pretty good. But yeah, but
I like your cover.
thanks. Yeah, we usually get your agents, like your go-between, so our agent went back to them and gave them some pretty productive feedback, and then they actually came back with 3 great covers. Like, I would have been happy with any of them.
Yeah, you have to be really careful how you go in, how your agent has to be careful how they go in that first time, because they're creatives, and they've obviously sent this to you because they love these options, and so she did a nice job of like basically saying we hated all of them, but in a really nice way, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how she did it, but they came back and were so. Then we had like 4 that we had trouble choosing from.
Oh, that's a good problem to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. But it was pretty serious. Like, we don't text with our agent that much, but we were like texting when the first script. That's how you know it's bad. Like when you're texting. So anyway, but Yeah.
Julie?
I know you asked this question to Rochelle, but what's your process, right? Since you guys write together, how are you doing that? What does that look like?
I think we already established I write everything except the middle.
And she usually does most of the talking.
Are you guys
too,
like
so.
are you guys like writing together in the same room?
Oh,
or
no.
Going back and forth.
In fact, I lived 2,000 miles apart for a while, and that was probably our best work. No, we're very old school. We write in Word, and one of us will just start the book out and write chapter 1, email it to the other one. The other one opens the email, makes changes. We go back and forth until we decide we're good, and then they'll write number 2.
I have a question about that. Do your husbands or kids or close friends know the difference in voice? Does
I don't-
anyone know a difference in voice?
I don't think so.
I
haven't
we
heard anybody.
yeah, and we've been for those of you who know, we've been friends for like 35 years. And
I do get pissed if my husband laughs at your jokes.
So
I always remember he laughs, and I'm like, he kind of laughs more at some of the stuff you write. I don't know.
We're out to dinner too. He does that.
You do remember I think I remember the funny stuff we wrote. That sticks out to me maybe because it's just easier to remember. I can't remember our characters' names. I can't things like that, but certain lines.
I think a thing if you're going to have a co-author that writes in the same narrative. So you'll see a lot of authors that are going from just being authors to writing together. They'll usually each choose a narrative. It'll be like 3 narratives and they each write it. But if you're going to share narratives like we do, you have to almost be a chameleon. So whatever she sends to me, I'm going to write in that voice and vice versa. So that's the one thing we always tell people. If unless you're going to choose your own narrative and just write in there and then edit each other's, you have to have that ability. So whatever she sends me, I will write in that same voice. And not everybody probably wants to do that. It's always just how we've done it. So we're chameleons in that sense. So.
Julie had a question.
So Rochelle, have you thought of another artist that you would want to write a book after, especially with such a beautiful forward like that?
So I drove my editor, Danielle Marshall, so beyond crazy that when I pitched her an idea and it was about a movie, it was along the lines of like rumor has it type of a thing. She's like, I just think we're gonna run into some of the same like. I mean, she didn't come right out and say no, and there was another reason that book wouldn't have worked, but she was just like, no. It was really difficult. It was really difficult. It messed up timelines. The book had to be pushed back from May to October. It was a mess. Yeah. I don't know if I want to do that again.
Interesting, but how amazing! I mean, you ended up becoming like text friends, right?
Oh, we should send him a picture of us.
Yeah. There you go.
Any other questions?
What?
No, I just want to say one thing.
No
Not to be defensive, but he wasn't just as you probably know, he didn't hold anything up. That like throughout the process of getting clear was obviously like managers, publishers, people. It's not their. Well, it was one person who's difficult, but most people. We will not name. There was a savior also. There was a savior as well. Right, but I just want to say he didn't hold anything.
No,
up,
he was
really,
amazing.
As far as its rights, artists are not. Managing.
We wanted to do like a Taylor Swift line that we wanted to open a book with years, like way before.
I sent an Instagram message.
And they were like, no, it was just like one line. Yeah, and that was really before.
It was before
Eric,
tour.
yeah, but still, even that was hard. So I can't even imagine what you guys went through.
They really messed with your creativity, that kind of stuff. Like it just, and then to think that the whole idea, like we were at the point where we were going to have to change the title and oh, I'm sorry, Izzy, I'm going to embarrass you, stand up. So when Izzy just is a recent graduate of USC and he is a friend of my son's. And when I didn't think I was going to have an original song, Izzy wrote me lyrics, he wrote me songs. So he's in the back of the book and that's his lovely, I was going to say fiance, but girlfriend. Did I mess something up? I hope not. But no, you were so instrumental and so helpful, and we were almost gonna have to go down that road, but.
It's amazing. All right, Rachel, you had a question.
Oh, yes. It's for all three of you. I was going to ask, when you are drafting and not having a good time in the moment, are there words of wisdom you go back to? Is there anything you look back in your other books to remind yourself you can do it? Like, what are things you do to like amp yourself up when you're having a hard time and you have to get the word down?
Tequila.
But do you mean like, are you having a writer's block, or are you just
Not like a
feeling
block,
like
but just like
you
kind of what
just
you were
don't
saying, like
feel-
it's such a drag. Like I just don't want
you
to
don't feel
sit down and
confident?
write this. Yeah.
Or you go out with your author friends and you lift each other up? I mean, you know, this community is so absolutely incredible. I fell in love with your book. I didn't know who you were. I had you like all over my feed. You know, we have to support each other. We have to lift each other up, and we have to remind each other why we do this. And it's okay. I think it's okay to take a break. I don't believe in writing every single day. Some people are like, you have to write every single day. I don't believe that. There's some days that are thinking days. Some days are, you know, just processing things. But you have to surround yourself with people that love what you do and know how creative you are. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's actually a perfect answer.
You should have had drinks with us.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before this. But yeah, I think you have to have people on your team that believe in you, and we have each other. So it's like if she's having a bad day, or we can call each other, and you know. And we're always on deadline to each other when we're writing too, so we kind of just get over it, you know. So it's like I have to get her this shit. Yeah.
If you're feeling any,
Not anymore,
Right
but
now,
I was in this
but-
book 2 process.
Yeah. I just make myself.
your book was one of my favorite books.
I love Stone Cold Fox.
Stone Cold Fox was amazing. I whipped through that book.
Yeah, it was
Thanks,
really.
guys. It's here.
What's the title?
We didn't plan that. We didn't plan that.
Always be closing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I loved it. It was great.
It's such a good book.
Was there another question back there?
Suzanne Park, another author.
What is either the most memorable or best review you've ever received for any of your books? I know you're not supposed to read reviews, but like, what has stuck with you in a positive way?
For me, and I mean, I read my reviews before my books come out. I read my NetGalley and I read early reviews because I feel that it's a good gauge and a good indication of where the book is going to go. Every book except this book, okay? Because this book was totally different. So once the book comes out, I am not lying or exaggerating that my husband, who's back there, reads every single review, and he will send me the best ones, or he'll send me the ones where he feels like I could learn something from. He's like, you need to read this because it will.
Can I hire you?
Okay. It's like filtering.
Yeah.
I kind of like
But it is helpful to have that buffer. You know, somebody like protecting you, because you can't, like, if you're the kind of person that can't handle the reviews, like, it's good to have the buffer to like either soften or. But I think the best reviews are the ones that people say that you touch them, and like, you know, that's my kind of, that's the way I'm. The women's fiction that I'm writing is, you know, more emotional, and when someone says that you've touched them or they've seen a side to themselves or I've plucked some memory out of them. You guys?
We kind of do the same thing. We'll read them till it comes out, and then maybe occasionally we'll go through, and if they're mean, I'll screenshot it and send to her and be like, F that person. That person's stupid.
Yeah. I don't read them. I think you probably read them more than.
Not very much after it comes out. I might peruse it occasionally. Like I'll go to Amazon to see how many are there.
Right.
And stuff like that, kind of that kind of
gauge. You can't get
I
bogged.
think they don't really bog us down. I mean, I think as a writer, you're always dealing with everyone's feedback and so it doesn't,
right.
And also it just, you know, because it's so subjective. I remember when The Good Widow came out, it did really well. So we were getting a lot of reviews, and there'd be a review like, this is the best book I've ever read. And literally the next book would be like, I am stupider from reading this book or whatever. So you're just like, it's all just so subjective.
Right. And that's why, how do you treat a 5-star review any differently than 1-star
Right.
review? But I will tell you, is anyone here named Sue Ellen? No. I'm asking because I'll never forget one of my books. This woman wrote a horrible review. Her name was Sue Ellen. So one of those things, just to sort of, appease yourself, is I made her this disgusting cat in the next one. She was Sue Ellen, the cat.
Sue Ellen, if you're watching out there
That's awesome.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Zibby. Thank you to the bookstore. Oh, sure. Sure.
You had so many great people show up for you, so.
Oh, I just
Let's see,
grabbed.
what's the best angle to get her the picture?
Maybe this year, why not?
Well, I think, you might do better if I was.
This way?
Yeah, you do pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do all the first. Everybody, picture.
Wait, did you get mine?
I'm gonna send it to you because I don't
Fine.
see it.
It's